So this can be later on listened to on our YouTube channel. In Unity, we believe that the beginning of the year, we are especially under the influence of faith and love. It's almost like a protection as we enter this new year. And we are under this protection because we're stepping off a cliff. That which has been, 2020. This would been familiar. Something in you knows that it's not going to be the same. And I started to write about it and I started to talk about it, that I envision a profound study to begin among us, those who really want to go deep into what does it mean that we are vibrational beings, that we respond to frequencies and vibration. And those of us who wonder what I'm talking about, replace the word with consciousness. Right? We believe in unity, that all is consciousness. Correct? Can I see some nods? Well, what is consciousness? It's a very vague, it has to do with what you are doing with your feelings and your days and your activities and where your focus is. All that grows and expands. And that's what we call consciousness. Well, with this technology that is thrust upon us, if we like it or not, this virtual stuff, it brings us to who are we? How are we inhabiting our body? And we are, every time in these coming months with an S, maybe multiple months, you find yourself irritated by the technology. Use, shift into, and I am a multi-sensory human. We have people now who teach how to be a medium, how to be able to see auras. Well, nothing new to that. And I believe we all have those skills. Some people are more strongly developed in it than others, and some people make a living out of it, become ministers in it. But we're all multisensory. We are all. Can you at least nod so I know that you believe me? That you can, with a big smile, connect to the folks on the screen, and you have a feeling reaction. You have an emotional reaction. You could, if we want to hone in on that, you could actually tune in on the special frequency of one or the others. We're all little radios. We all have our own frequency. It's on that level that we have choices. It's on that level we can start activating serendipity. You know what serendipity is all about, right? We believe in it. And the more I have my vibration tuned in, tuned up, the more I can pick when serendipitous events happen in my life. So I'm going to read you something funny. I hope I can find it. Everything is always a little technical here. It touched me when I read it this morning. It just made me smile. So I thought I'd bring it to you. This is called the New Year Flight 2021. Can you hear me? Welcome to Flight 2021. We are prepared for takeoff into the new year. Please make sure your attitude and blessings are secured and locked in an upright position. All self-destructive devices should be turned off at this time. All negativity, hurt, and discouragement should be turned off at this time and put away. Should we lose attitude under pressure during this flight, reach up and pull down a prayer. Prayers will be automatically activated by faith. Once your faith is activated, you can assist other passengers. There will be no baggage allowed on this flight. The captain, in parentheses, God, has cleared us for takeoff. Destination greatness. Happy New Year. You know, this is sort of humorous and all that, but I believe it's going to be more and more the status quo. We're going to be normalizing all of this among us. And that which Unity has been teaching, and in a way, we in Unity, we have asked ourselves at many levels, including organizationally at headquarters, why is Unity not more mainstream? We have such a wonderful teaching. We got this, you know, life-changing teaching, and why don't we have bigger churches or more attendance? Well, I think we're gonna become mainstream. COVID-19 is pushing us, pushing us into mainstream. How many of you have already looked into, flirted with, thought about it, learning how to be multisensory in one way or the other, right? Taking classes is one way, right? So I want to bring into something, because we will be studying some of the fundamentals of Unity when I am talking. And one of the thoughts that rings in me is this feeling that we're not beginners. We're not beginners. You've been on this path, maybe several years, maybe several decades. And that means you are meant to step from being a student to becoming a teacher, to becoming willing to step up and say, I'm ready to pray with somebody. I'm ready to give a reading, give a talk, give a meditation. Maybe not on that level, but moving from being a beginner, sort of like a baby in the teaching and on the truth path, to realizing I know how to work the principles. I have been working the principles. I know how to handle shifting emotional stuff. I have learned about forgiveness. Are you with me? It's time to give. And I'm not talking about money now. I'm talking about your frequency incorporated with what you have learned and what you've been practicing is beginning to want to push you to see yourself. You don't necessarily have to change anything on the outside, but to start seeing yourself as moving from student to teacher. The Course in Miracles has this charming line that some of us kept. I kept it, you know, I was doing the Course in Miracles in the 80s in a church in Texas on the Rio Grande, and was very deeply involved with it. But there are a couple of statements that really stay with me. And one is, everybody is your teacher. Every time you get frustrated or irritated, that person is your what? Your teacher. Everybody is your teacher and everybody is your student. One way or the other. That doesn't mean you all have to be ordained or something like that. Everybody is your student, everybody is your teacher. And I'm looking at a group of people who already know that. You know, like I'm thinking about some of you who have a whole group of people that they are in touch with, who call them for counsel or for prayers, right? And you pass it like our chaplains. They're willing to be instruments, channels. They're not claiming they have the answers. They're just willing to be present and to pray with somebody. So here comes this thought that I want to share with you. And I'm actually getting it from one of my favorite Franciscan priests that is part of floating around in my universe, about the baby being born at Christmas. So much sweetness about the baby born in a manger. This new life, this being a babe on the path in unity. And then this feeling that we are called. We need to have opportunities to show up, that we're also teachers, and that we have this celebration of Christmas. What is in unity? We see it so much clearer than maybe in the Catholic tradition. This is the birth of the Christ consciousness in us, right? It's not a baby anymore. It's the potential of the fullness. So I'm calling us into newness. I'm calling our organization into newness. I'm calling our Sunday service into some changes. I'm calling all of us to take every opportunity you have. If somebody asks you to volunteer, if you get a phone call from Maya saying, how about doing this? First say yes. And then say, but I don't know how to do it. It's okay. But first say yes. You know what you do? Vibrationally, the moment you have made that commitment, that whatever comes your way, you say yes first. And then you look at, how am I going to do it? Or do I need to learn some skills about doing it? Or, you know, I was just having this image of having, and that actually happened. I had my car parked outside the church, and there was a very big, full poubelle. What's a poubelle in English? A trash can. And I did not pay attention, and I hit it, right? And I sat there and I said, yes, yes, whatever, yes. It was not even my car. It was a rental. I had to deal with the rental company afterwards for months to try to get, they wanted me to buy the whole car. And I said, I'm not buying this car. I've just had it. It's barely a dent, But I remember sitting there saying, yes. I want to be in alignment. I want my frequency to be in alignment. What just happened here? Yes. So thank God we have these three gifts. that were given and that are part of the story, and then on many levels are not really the real stories. They're probably mythical stories. We think of there was a fourth wise man. There's the story that the money, the gold helped Joseph and Mary to escape to Egypt. I don't even know if that's esoteric teaching or if this is part of the Christian teaching. But anyway, all these, the mystical quality of this is, and the astrological. When have I heard a Catholic priest saying, we believe in astrology? Well, these were astrologers and astronomers, right? They knew how to read the stars, and they according to the story, they followed the star till it stopped. We cleared all this out, of course. But the gifts were given. Part of the, and I think I wanted you to take this with you today, that they were unusual and very precious gifts. Can you imagine gold in those days given to very simple peasant folks? Or myrrh used to preserve, and in frankincense, the perfume of frankincense, all the most precious of gifts. And they are given. This is the time that they are surrounding you, these gifts. Spirit is like, I'm talking about global, collective spirit, pouring out on mankind these gifts. And we know from our teaching that only that which we can receive and say yes to, free will. You got free will, right? Saying yes to. These three gifts are poured out on a collective level, way beyond our human really understanding. Even in unity, we have a diversity of understanding about these three gifts, but they are poured out. And I would like us now to move into a meditation where we help each other to raise our frequency, to help each other, to support each other, to move, and this is one of my mantras, to move from I to we. We have always am very aware of how individualistic we are. We have a group of very individual people, individualistic people, and we need to move to we-ness. Some of us have real connection to family and clans and have that, but a lot of folks in unity are very solitary. Even though they might be in a relationship or they might be in a family, but they're basically solitary. And they are welcomed and comfortable in unity being solitary. And it's not enough anymore. So this is one of the lessons. One, the sentimentality of the baby at Christmas, let it not blind you to the largeness of what Christ in you is all about, because in that Christ consciousness birth is the total embrace of everything that has been difficult, that has been challenging, that has broken your heart. That is what is the other story of Christmas. There's the baby and swaddling clothes and the beautiful music, but there is also the archetype of the Christ, mature, adult, whatever Christ, that resonates in frequency with that which you have already lived. You know, the baby, but there is this large, grown-up archetype presence in you that is capable of resonating with the darkest hour of your life, with the most difficult heartbreak, with your whatever you're going through right now. So those are the two things I would like to take into our meditation. We have time, yes. I ask you to come into your discipline, feet on the ground. And then I always ask everybody in meditation to push your tailbone to the back, not tucking it in, pushing it back, and then have a pillow that allows you now to lean back into it. It aligns your vertebrae a little better. And it allows you to come to your breath. This Christmas is also the birth and rebirth of the archetype of the Christ, timeless, large, grown up, immensely capable of resonating with everything that your life so far has handed out to you. Lessons that you had in your life that had you on your knees or broke you. There's a resonance, a capacity to sit in this meditation, coming to your heart, and the seat of that Christ archetype. Everything that has happened in my life, everything, every time I was broken, every time I fell, finds resonance in this archetype of presence. Let images come now. Let memories come now. And then say, this too finds an embrace in the larger consciousness of the Christ being reborn this time in me. And this is, of course, not Jesus of Nazareth. This is an archetype of soul, resonating, resonating, resonating at such a large, inclusive level that even the darkest thing that you had to walk through is now brought home, home, into the embrace of this moment. the Christ in me resonates at a immensely large frequency, embracing all that I have walked through and lived through. And the more I can put my arms around everything that I have lived through, the larger that consciousness in me becomes. And we are together today with others who are doing the same meditation and consideration, and we're touching consciousness to consciousness. Every one of us present is touched by the others in support and in love and in frequency and in vibration, lifting you. Giving you wings. So we walk our lives, we walk our challenges, but we bring them into the embrace of who we really are. And our circle in spirit, in vibration, and in consciousness is large enough to include others who we want to bring in. People who come to mind. There is enough space. There is enough of a field to bring in anybody you want to bring in. Just let them be in the field. You don't need to know why they pop up or what they need, or you're not going to fix this or fix that. You just bring them in. And you realize with each one that comes in, the field just vibrates and expands. There is no limited quantity of spirit in spirit. The more you bring in yourself and others, the more the field expands, responds. So we bring our Unity Center as an organization with the various people who, board members, team members, and our building. Just bring it in. Our building is manifested energy that was built, and it shall vibrate. It shall feel the love. Of an expanded consciousness in this 2021. And to this, I ask you all to help me serve an expanded consciousness and vibrancy and presence far beyond the individual or the numbers present. And so it is. Joyfully, with smiles on our faces, we come back to seeing each other, to being with each other for a little while here in our group. I am going to remind you of our noon meditation. Every day at noon, we have a 15-20 minute centering, practicing sitting meditation. And then we have a couple of things that we are thinking of about our Wednesday 5 o'clock class with Wilma. We are yet to have decided what that is going to look like. So I would like you to come forward into being here among us. We are thanking all of you profoundly for all of your gifts and giving and your donations and your willingness to continue to be supportive. I'm going to stop recording. I always forget to do that.